combination of whale blubber had kept him from developing sores and infections. He'd witnessed the horrors of badly cared-for sores. An infection from a false limb, hand, or foot could end a soldier the same as a blade or arrow, but not before you suffered mightily. Haunting images of those raw, pulsing infections were enough to motivate him every morning. Once his false legs were secured with their straps, he stood to test them out. As always, they were solidly connected to his body, and he was able to walk almost without a noticeable limp. In the 16 years since he'd made them, he'd never once had them strapped on loose or crooked. Still, he never neglected to check. Isaac brought their food to the table on 2 plates made of polished, hardened bone, both engraved by the crude squiggles of a 5-year-old Isaac. "Shouldn't we hurry down?" Isaac asked. "Someone'll get those bones." "Who?" Z laughed. "Those salty dogs toss the bones out like that because they know you're watching. They figure you'll be afraid they're going to walk away on their own, or that they'll sell them to who knows who." "And what if they do? The butcher uses whalebone." "The butcher and the carpenter and the smithy and Gladys, who runs the hotel for the whalers, all come to me for bone goods. I suppose in theory I could butcher my own pigs and chickens and fix my own roof, but I don't, because there's people who do it better than me. Same with whale bones. None carve 'em like I do." "Then why do they do that?" Isaac asked. "The whalemen know I'm not going to rush down there and clean up their mess. They were hoping you would, but when you don't show up, they'll stack 'em nice and neat for delivery." "It just seems risky to me is all," Isaac said. "If we don't get those bones, we'll be all out soon." Z nodded his chin toward Isaac's plate of food. "Eat. Trust your dad," he said, and then dug into his own food. Isaac sighed and did likewise. Afterward, Z made coffee and poured it into a bone cup. He took a sip and closed his eyes, enjoying both the flavor and his son's impatience. He opened one eye and caught Isaac tapping his foot and biting a hangnail. Z laughed. "All right, lad, I won't torment you any more. Let's head to the wharf." Z walked to the door, cup in hand, yanking it open and stepping outside into the morning sun. Isaac followed close behind. "You love torturing me, don't you?" Isaac gave his father a nudge. Z wobbled slightly with the force of the push. The boy seemed to grow stronger every day. The day wouldn't be far off when he knocked him on his ass by accident. "Yup," Z replied simply, and chuckled. The 2 men, one easing into middle age, the other about to reach adulthood, made their way along the well-worn slabstone path toward the center of town. Z reached down once to make an adjustment to his right leg, but other than that, his disability was invisible. Z finished his coffee by the time that they were passing through the single commercial street of Seaview. The street was flanked on both sides by stores and workshops to meet the needs of the community. Behind the commercial street stretched another 4 streets of houses, along with 2 temples, which served several gods and goddesses. Z's house was built at the very end of the village, where it blended into the dark slate cliffs. It stood alone, on its own, with a view of anyone approaching from any direction. Seaview was a small village of just over 100 souls, in the hinterlands of Tirumidori, but it had been around for longer than anyone could remember. Somehow, it never died. Once they reached the end of the commercial street, the wharf and ocean beyond became visible through the buildings. Soft gray clouds blocked out the sun, making the day mild and humid. They were not the kind of clouds that brought winter storms, but rather ones that preceded the winter storms by a month or so, the first sign of autumn's end. "They've come early this year," Z noted, and tossed the last grit-filled mouthful of coffee onto the stone road. He hooked the cup to his belt, next to one of several knives and rasps of various shapes and sizes. "Think it means a long rainy season?" Isaac asked. Z shrugged. He'd long ago given up on predicting the character of the coming storm season,